Shalom, Yasha. First and foremost, I would like to give all glory, honor, and infinite praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, B'chachadash. I'd like to say double honors to the beloved elders and the apostles at Great Millstone that taught me this truth. Wa, peace and salutations to all the brothers out there that are out there pushing this word in truth and in sincerity. This is your brother Amar from the GMS Boise, Idaho camp. And I'm doing this lesson, just based on through the spirit, and a lot of news out there circulating, a lot of information, being passed around among the brethren, a lot of quick updates that are going on in the escalation over the world war that is developing over there in the so-called Middle East. And there's a lot of different angles that Esau could come at this and getting the whole beast system, NATO, and the spirit of the fighting American people, like so-called in World War II, to get them rallied in a patriotic type of war, because as of right now, nobody wants to go fight the war for those little hats. You even had that Marine in the front of the commandant of the Marine Corps go into the Senate hearing and openly proclaim that they do not want to fight this war for the little hats. So like I said before, Esau and the elite can come at this. And Esau and elite are one and the same, because Esau runs the world, and the elite run the world. Same thing. The self-proclaimed so-called white man, point blank period, are scheming for either an inside attack, a false flag, an EMP, or a lot of talks right now are going into small nuclear strikes, against Iran, because of what they're planning on doing in completely shutting down permanently, or for the foreseeable future, the Strait of Hormuz of any traffic that can go through. So I'm going to read this, and I got a scripture, right after it. This is a picture that I saw floating online. It says, "I'm more worried about our own government attacking us on our own soil to blame it on Iran than I am that Iran will attack us." That's where we are now. And that's true, because a lot of people know from this 911 conspiracy about how the Babylon the Great and these little hats will do anything to get the right people in the war. That's why there's even talks of those Gulf states, the so-called Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and those countries over there, that the missiles were coming from, the little hats land. They weren't coming from the northeast. They were coming from the northwest. If you look on a map and you know anything about where Saudi Arabia is in comparison to the little hats land, as well as where Iran is, they would be coming from different directions. And they found even a group of Mossad agents that were arrested in, I believe it was Saudi Arabia, that were planning explosives in these oil refineries. Not to mention in 1956 or 1957, I can't remember exactly, but it's around that time frame, that the little hats actually attacked a U.S. destroyer and unalived U.S. Navy personnel in an attack to try to get them to go after their enemy at the time, which part of their enemy at the time, which was Egypt, because there was a lot of different so-called no peace in the Middle East. These different Middle Eastern countries, all at one point, even Iraq, Kuwait, that call themselves allies, fought against this beast, man. But the point being is that we are here, even though there's a lot going on, that we are supposed to come here and to tell you these things. And whether you receive the message or not, whether you take the time to research what we are saying, because we have done the research, we are telling you what it is, because we filter everything through the scriptures. We know that there's chaotic times that are going to happen, a world war, a portion of the Syrians' land is going to be wasted, referring to out there in the so-called Middle East, because the main enemy to Babylon the Great and Esau, Edom right now, that he's saying, even though we know it's the Israelites, he's saying his main enemy are those Persians, those Carmanians, those Ishmaelites out there in the so-called Middle East, But like I said, there's a lot of information. I have a couple videos that I want to share with you to kind of show you what's the most up-to-date information that I can find that's going on out there, and things are developing daily. This is why, You know, it's pretty hard to stay on top of it, but man, you can't look away from your phone right now for how much news updates are happening. The brothers sending you videos. It's beautiful times to be a man of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai right now, you know, or a believer. This is Isaiah 62:6. I have set watchmen upon thy walls, O Jerusalem, which shall never hold their peace, day nor night. Ye that make mention of the Lord Yahweh, keep not silence, and give him no rest till he establish, until he make Jerusalem a praise in the earth. And that's the prophets, that's the seers, that's the prophets telling you what's going to happen. They're preparing your spirit to make sure that you're prepared for the worst, because the worst is coming. A time, even the only time that it can be comparable to is the flood. That's why this is called the second death. The first death was the flood. The second death is through fire. This is Jeremiah 28:8, and this is how the prophets get you ready for what's coming. Jeremiah 28:8, the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries, and against great kingdoms. What were they prophesying? Were they saying peace and love and everyone's come together? No, let's continue. Of war and of evil, which is evil is bad times, hard times, and of pestilence. And pestilence is comparison to a plague, and plague could be natural disasters, an actual disease, famine. You know, you could lump all that in there. Verse 9, the prophet which prophesieth of peace, when the word of the prophet shall come to pass, then shall the prophet be known that the Lord Yahweh hath truly sent him. You know, because first and foremost, starting with the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, they've been telling you who the players are going to be in this last world war. Who the key players are starting with Psalms 83. Let's just go there since I mentioned it. The top key players that are going to be going against Yashar Allah. And not just going against Yashar Allah, but being the forefront of those that are setting up the beast system. The technocratic societies where everybody is implanted with a C ragamuffin, a charagma, a C hip, an MOT to the B. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go fucking figure it out, man. You know, it's the mark of the beast. That grain of rice is gonna get injected inside of you, and if to your consent, if you want to be a continual partaker of this man's society, his world, his money, you know, being a model citizen. Being a model citizen is going to get you thrown right into those nuclear missiles, man. You know, in the eyes of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, if you bend the knee and partake in this man's new world order. And so, like I was saying before, the top key players in what's going on out there in the so-called Middle East, because you notice Japhet isn't mentioned. The Japhetic people, the Hawaiians, the Tongans, the Samoans out there, they just want to fucking fish all day, sing on a ukulele and walk around wearing grass skirts, man. They don't want to bother nobody. They just want to be beach bums, man. But the main key players that are out here, not to say that they aren't heathens and that they're going to be under our subjugation, but they're not out there actively against Jake like these top nations are. This is Psalms 83:1. Keep not thou silence, O Yahweh. Hold not thy peace and be not still, O Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. And that's the mystery of who the 10 lost tribes are, who the real Jews are, etc. Talking about you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. The hidden ones. Those that their history has been whitewashed, taken away, and given upon these so-called 1948ers establishing the state over there by the London, by the government of the UK, which is London, which is the economic center, which is owned by the Rothschilds, who gave pretty much the land of the Lico hats that we know today. You know, do your history. Continuing verse 4, Psalms 83 and verse 4, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee. That's banded together, for a common cause. Verse 6, the tabernacles of Edom. First and foremost, you self-proclaimed so-called white people. You white man, woman, and child. And the Ishmaelites, you Arabs. You fucking sand. You sand, never mind. Turban wearing, Ishmaelites out there. Damn, I won't eat pork, but pass the shrimp. Fucking Muslims out there. Of Moab, which are you so-called chinky winky Chinese, slanted eyed, which our people are scattered amongst all these nations. But I'm just talking shit against the heathens, man, because mother F these heathens, man. For all the atrocities that they've done to us. The least we could do is talk shit about them. So hell with your emotions or, brother ain't being spiritual because he's... Nah, man. These heathens deserve nothing but disrespect for the way that they have portrayed the children of the Most High and Yahweh Bashim Yahushai himself. Continuing, of Moab, like I said, self-proclaimed Chinese, the Asian majority over there, and the Hagarians, which is also another offshoot of the Ishmaelites, because that Hagarians, one of the sons of Hagar, Gebal and Ammon, Ammon the Japanese, and Amalek, which we know who Amalek is, who likes to say that those Palestinians are Amalek, which they are projecting because they are themselves of Amalek. The Philistines, which are Hamites, and the inhabitants of Tyre. So the point being, verse 8, now I'll read one more, verse 8, Assur also is joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot, Selah. So these nations have come together against us, and have constantly made a pact to keep this information hidden, and that the free flow of information and archaeological history that proves that the descendants of the West Africans that were fled from Roman persecution, from the 10 tribes that left after the Assyrian captivity, all those nations have record, but they're keeping it hidden to keep the narrative and the lie continuing. But war is happening, and now the prophecies are speaking even more, and these nations cannot hide their hand in prophecy, because their power and the power that has given unto the so-called Edomite, or the Edomites, the Ishmaelites, Moab, and the Hagarians, as well as Ammon, Amalek, Esau, Edom, and the heathens, has all been preordained to them by Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, so that they can play their hand in prophecy. So I've done a lot of talking, but hey, this is all applicable, and I want to get to these videos that I have shared in my camera roll, that I have saved in my camera roll, just to show you what's going on with a few key updates on the so-called war in the Middle East right now. And I'm gonna share these videos, and I'm gonna close out this lesson.
Economy hits catastrophe as Iran starts mining the Strait of Hormuz. Naval mines are explosive devices that are placed in the water. They are specifically designed to damage or sink ships. They can be placed on the seabed, they can float at the surface, or they can be rocket propelled. These are area denial systems. They don't give a shit if you're a Chinese vessel or if you're an American vessel. Some estimates is that it will take 4 to 6 months to clear the Strait of Hormuz from mines. Donald Trump tried to tell you that the war is almost over, when in fact, global economic catastrophe is right over the horizon. This is a major escalation by the Islamic Republic, and Donald Trump has said himself that if they do mine the Strait of Hormuz, they're going to get hit, quote, 20 times harder, unquote, than they've been hit before. My opinion is that I think this squarely lines up with justifying a tactical nuclear strike. The world economy is now at risk, and ground invasion forces will result in mass casualties. These are the way that wars get out of control escalation over escalation. We are no doubt in another global war. If you want to follow these updates that I give every day, drop a follow on TikTok.
Okay, I got a couple more scriptures, because it just came to my spirit. Hey, call Allah Yahweh by spirit, right where I wanted to go. Yeah, I haven't been in this app all day, and it went right to the chapter and verses that I wanted to. So hey, that's the spirit. I'm not even joking. I haven't opened this app all day, and it went right to where I wanted to go. This is 2 Ezra 16:1. Woe be unto thee, Babylon and Asia. Woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria. Whoo! Man, what were we just talking about? You Moabites, as well as in the so-called Middle East, and the Edomites being the main sword. All major participators in this war. They say that there's over 20 nations now involved militarily with this conflict. That's over 20 nations involved. Let me repeat it: militarily in this conflict in the so-called Middle East. Verse 2, gird up yourselves with clothes of sack. That's a mourning garment. And hair, because in the ancient world you would put on that garment when you would be mourning. And bewail your children. And be sorry, for your destruction is at hand. Whoo! This is the Lord talking shit to you nations, man. Verse 3, a sword, and as well as you 2/3 wicked Israelites. A sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back? A fire is sent among you, and who may quench it? Plagues are sent unto you, and what is he that may drive them away? So call Allah Yahweh Bashmi al-Shai, man. This wars are coming, and things are progressively increasing. And to bewail your children now is, what have we been talking about? The draft, people getting ready in the war mindset. It's only escalating. So I'm going to continue this, show you this next video, and I'm going to close it out because this is going to another subject about the supply chain woes, because war and famine are synonymous. Salaki, let me restart it.
Oil has not left the Strait of Hormuz in over a week, and Iran's economic strategy is working. 20% of the world's oil goes through this passage above me, and now major countries like Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Bahrain have canceled oil production. And now Asia, Europe, and the Americas are going to be hit very freaking hard. China, Japan, and South Korea get over 70% of their oil and gas from the Middle East. And Europe as well gets the majority, and right now they're getting none of it, and their strategic reserves are set to run out in just a few months. And all the other countries that buy it from other places, such as Europe buying it from Russia, you are now paying a lot more for your oil and gas. And this is directly correlated. The more oil that is held in the Middle East and stuck means the price of oil goes up, meaning that Russia makes more money while Europe pays more for oil. Things are getting so bad that Europe and America are thinking about lifting the sanctions on Russia for the first time since 2022. And in response to this, the Russians said, actually, we're not interested in selling to you because you cut us off last time, and instead they're going to sell to China. Meaning China's going to be fine getting oil, Russia's going to make a hell of a lot more money, and Europe is just going to be fucked. Oil has not left the Strait of Hormuz.
So as you can see, man, the Strait of Hormuz is getting shut down, and they're going to permanently shut it down with these mines, as the previous video that I was talking about was explaining. So all this is, just wrapping up this lesson. Your sons and your daughters are going to go out there and fight this war to defend the files. Remember what this war is about: to defend the files, to distract the people from... I was just joking. So you gotta have fun with this, Yasharallah, man. You gotta have fun, man, because this war was all kicked off right out the gate, all shotgun, like a shotgun wedding. The bride got pregnant, so you gotta hurry up and have a wedding before it starts showing. No, man, Esau's hand has been shown that he's this so-called devil, that he's on the files, and that no matter what he does, even if it's starting a world war, I saw a video, Salakia, a picture that even had inscribed in the Iranian language that it said, "This is for the victims of E Island." It said the whole thing, Island, and for those that are in the files. And it said it all on Aramaic on one of their missiles that they were shooting towards the Little Hats land, man. So the veil has been lifted from these nations, and they know the problem, which is Babylon the Great. That is why ultimately all these nations are going to go against him. We can't forget about the prophecy of the beast hating the whore. as well as, ultimately everybody seeing the son of perdition and wanting to destroy him. They say, shoot all your arrows. And that's why Babylon the Great is going to have no friends, no allies, and is going to be wiped off this earth. And the only ones that are going to be saved from this land are those of the elect and the 1/3 of the Israelites that are going to be beamed up to the chariots of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Which is why I have these AI pictures here, to end this lesson, because, even though this destruction is coming, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai has promised us a miraculous salvation, And that is a highlight to this lesson, because no matter how bad things are going to get, hey man, the Lord has his elect, his 1/3, already destined for salvation. So Lord willing that this lesson was edifying unto the elect. Till next time, I would like to give all glory, honor, and infinite praises to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Chachadash, and double honors to the beloved elders and the apostles at Great Millstone that taught me this truth. While peace and salutations to all you hopeful elect document out there laboring, that are pushing this word in truth and in sincerity. Keep pushing, keep persevering. We are literally almost home. Till next time, Lord willing, Shalom.